So I've been asked to do a how-to video on how to help set up a webcam in order to make UR30 work together with a web camera detection program called iSpy. So, in this right here, you're going to want to download the iSpy and UR30 ahead of time. But in order to set things up, once you get your iSpy set up, iSpy will initially look something like this on your screen. You'll have one camera. When you first set up your camera, what you want to do is go to the settings, which is a little cog symbol, and it's going to pull this up. Now, up here at the top, I named mine Camera 1 and then Lane 1. Each lane having, Lane 1 for 1, Lane 2 for Lane 2. For each zone detection, you'll have to set up a new camera. When you first set it up, you want to move the maximum of this setting right here to 30, as well as the one here. You'll want to move to 30 as well. That's the frames per second, if I remember correctly. My computer seems to be cutting it off. Microphone doesn't matter, so you can go ahead and click Ignore Audio. And as far as the setup for this first screen goes, that's all you got to do. Motion detection. It'll bring up, you want to click Custom Frame, and you can create your frame right here in this box. You want to set it up so that it's highlighted over only one lane of the track. The trigger range that I have found to work best is 70 out of 100. Not exactly sure what that means, but if it's higher the number, the harder to set it off. So if you're at 10, a fly flying underneath might set it off as per se, all the way up to say 90, where it may not catch the car at all if it's going too fast. You want to have it set to process every one frame, auto off to 0 seconds. What that does is it means how long it waits to turn off. You have the auto off set to 0, it means it will not turn off on its own. Finally, to set the alerts, which would be the next tab over, you want to set it for alerts enabled, movement. There's a couple different options there. There's no movement, object count, all that. You want to have it set to movement. The intervals is depends on how you want to set it up. Normally just slightly smaller than the length or your fastest track time. Say it takes 6 seconds to do a full lap on your track. You want to set it to, say, 4 or 5, and that's intervals in seconds. And then next you're going to click on Action, and you want to do an alert. What happens is it sends an alert when that action is met, when it detects movement. So you come down here to select Action, and then you want to click on Execute File. Once you click Execute File, you hit Add. And I already have this one set up here, so I'll just click on Edit, and it pulls up the same thing. This is your Browse button here, but what it is you want to look up the file that it's in. Move this out the way here. The file that it's in, for me, it's Program Files. I don't know what the x86 stands for, but that just has to be in there. Racer30, UR30, urwebcam.exe. This is the urwebcam file that everybody's talking about. What it is it executes this file whenever a car passes underneath there. It detects motion and triggers it. What happens is when it'll bring up the execute file, it'll execute that file, and then your argument would be Lane 1. Now, you want to as far as I can tell, I think it does all need to be lowercase, L-A-N-E, and then the number. So in this case, Lane 1. Whenever a car passes underneath this particular camera setup, it'll read Lane 1, and it'll send the message to UR30 or UR3 to count a lap for Lane 1. Once that's all done, you click OK. You also want to come over to Recording finally, and just make sure that's clicked on Not Recording. Unless you want to record the cars passing underneath the timer, that's up to you. So when you're done, you come down here and you click on Finish. Down at the bottom right-hand corner, you really can't see it very well. And what happens next is, in order to get the next camera lane set up, say I already got Lane 1 set up, I have Lane 2 set up on here as well, but say I wanted to add another lane. I come up here to where it says Add in the top right-hand corner. Underneath the File, Edit, View, Option, Help menu, just underneath that it says Add. So I click on Add. You want to go to Local Camera. And then if you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see this little arrow. and then the very option all the way to the right will be clone. Click on clone, and you select what camera you want to duplicate. Camera 1, lane 1. You click on that and you hit OK, and that'll bring up another picture window, and you just set that up the same way you do lane 1. However, for the next one, instead in the arguments for the execute file, you change it to lane 2. Now in the first one, right, lane 1 is where the motion detection box is. On this one over here, it's the same exact camera image. I set up the motion detection box over here for lane 2. And that right there will set up the iSpy. And I'll include a link to iSpy in the post of this thread for this how-to video. Now once you got all that set up, you can duplicate that as many times as you want for as many lanes as you have. You want to make sure that your camera is high enough up that it can detect the whole width of the track. Since I'm only running 2 lanes right now, 5-6 inches is really all you need. One thing I want to mention with the iSpy is the camera is based off of, it detects any differences from when you hit this little lightning bolt button here to turn the camera on. If I were to turn this camera on, it pretty much takes a picture image of this screen right here. If I were to move my finger underneath that camera, it'll trigger it if it detects movement, or if I change the lighting, say a shadow falls over that portion of track, say you don't have lighting just above your track, if a shadow falls over that, that could trigger an event that causes a lane count as well. So when using a web camera, it is very important to have independent lighting, probably just above your track where the camera is picking it up. Just for example, I'll show you mine. It's literally just something I made for some scrap sitting around the house. You have your web camera. I took a multi-LED headlamp, I disassembled it, did some soldering, and I hot glued the lights all along here so that it shines down on the track. So even if I'm creating shadows above the track, it's not going to create any shadows on the track where the motion detection camera picks up. Something else you'll want to do is set up a secondary monitor. Pretty much you can use anything from an old computer monitor to a flat screen TV to use as a secondary monitor. Most laptops have a plug very similar to, I can't really see it in this light, but it's a basic plug to add a secondary monitor, or you can use an HDMI cable. And essentially, once you have it set up, the reason why you want to use the secondary monitor is because an error message will pop up on, it's not really an error message, it's a message saying UR30 has received the signal. And that'll pop up on your main screen. But if you got the UR3 on a secondary monitor, you won't get that pop-up message there. It'll be on your laptop display or whatever main computer you're using, and you don't have to worry about it showing up on your screen. So just to give you an idea of how it works here, I'm going to go to my UR30. You can't really see it from this angle. I'm going to cancel the little race I was in. Set up for a new one. Come over to my controls here. Grab one of the controls for the car. And I'm going to drive it. I'll just go nice and slow so I don't fall off the track. And I went underneath once. That's the start of the race. It's detecting the very first signal. And that means the race has started. And then I go under again, and it's recorded my lap. I don't know if you can see it very well in there, but it says, it's actually got my wife's name and the lap time of 15 seconds from when the race actually started. Now I'll keep going here. Now obviously I didn't cross underneath it right when the race started, but there it just counted another lap. See if I can get both the camera in there. So it does that. See how right there, 6.5 seconds. Now like I said, I got my delay where the camera resets to count another one at 2 seconds. And UR3 also has a setting to where you can adjust it to what your minimum lap time is too. So if anybody does a lap time faster than that, it won't register it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment to this thread or send me a message on this forum, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. It's a pretty basic setup. Most of the time, just the sensitivity is just stuff you'll just have to play with, and until you can get it right. but hopefully this helps some people get on the way to being able to do their own slot car racing system, a little bit more professional job at home. Thank you very much. Have a great night.